Strangest and strongest weeks in royal history. This is the Royally Rich Lifestyle Show with me, Ian Pelham Turner. Let's roll the titles and let's talk about the show. Where do I start? First of all, HELENA, CHARD, my great colleague, unfortunately this week she's on a special assignment and I'm not surprised because we have been inundated right across the world talking about Kate, talking about King Charles. Really at the moment there seems to be massive interest with global TV stations as well. So she will be back again next week. And really to carry on with Kate at the moment, as we know, the controversy first started over a week ago now, and boy, don't we know it. The family image that William took for Mother's Day has really caused a sensation. That's the only way to describe something like this as well. And the reality with a photograph like this, it is by normal means just a normal family shot. The reality was that Kate and William were trying to just placate all the noise around them at the moment and just show something for Mother's Day. But oh no, all sorts of things have happened. I've had to defend manipulation of images by Kate. Then we discover that it's been going on for some time now. And then everybody is saying, where is Kate? Where is Kate? Where is William? What's going on? So then the second part, as soon as we're thinking, well, you know, nothing's going to happen, we're being told by the palace, nothing's going to happen at all. The next thing we know is that William and Kate turn up at the royal farm shop in Windsor, which is attached really to the royal estate. And before we know it, photographs start appearing, especially the front page of the Sun, that actually shows them walking happily together from a video that was taken by someone who happened to be there at the time, and he shot it on his phone apparently. And his reality was that he was trying to sort of show the normality of William and Kate. Now the reality is that's probably backfired on them a little bit again as well, because all it's done is add to the intrigue, the sinister intrigue that's been happening around them at the moment. And so the reality is that I think right now, I feel from what I'm hearing, the allegations are and the truth are two separate things. And I think that Kate at the moment has been extremely brave. There have been issues with her that have been, she's had to deal with again this week at the London clinic, dealing with someone trying to find out what has actually happened to her. Now the reality at the moment is I'm joining a fraternity of people saying, leave Kate alone. That's the message, leave Kate alone. I think I have a very good idea now of what is happening, and the reality is that once people finally know, and that may be some time away, then they will realize how brave she is being right now, even deciding to come back to public life within a reasonably short space of time after this operation as well. So I think that that's really my prologue, if you like, for this week on the royal news part of it. But I thought we would do something this week a little bit different for the show as well, and talking about things about royal etiquette. And there's all sorts of different rules and regulations that the royal family have to deal with, and I refer to my notes now. So the first rule, would you believe, and I couldn't believe this when I read it, this made me chuckle, is that they're not allowed to play Monopoly. Now you may ask, why isn't the royal family allowed to play Monopoly? You know, what's wrong with Monopoly? I suppose the only thing that may sort of concern is who buys Buckingham Palace, but you know, apart from that. But apparently Monopoly can cause competition, and sometimes the royal family get very, very competitive with each other. It's well known that William and Harry were always very competitive, and it's also well known that Kate and William are very competitive as well. No edges given either way at all. So first rule is no Monopoly. How interesting. And then the second rule is if the king is standing, everybody else has to stand as well. So even if you're sat down and then the king stands up, everybody has to stand as well at the same time. So even at the big functions, you know, where there may be several hundred people, some may be sort of sat down as well. As soon as the king stands, the etiquette rule is then all the guests have to stand as well. So, you know, and sometimes, you know, he almost does like a sort of a soft shoe shuffle, meeting people as well. And the third rule is, and this was broken, bless her heart, by Meghan, because the royal family state no autographs. They don't give out autographs. And as you can see from this photograph at the moment, is that Meghan was doing an autograph for a young person. And Harry was laughing about it as well, because he probably realized she was breaking etiquette. But in reality, that's Meghan for you. You know, she has a heart of gold, I think, Meghan, at the same time. You know, and I want her and Harry to feel safe and hopefully come back to Britain as well. But Meghan, no more autographs. And then the next rule is 2 heirs to the throne cannot fly together after a certain time, because in reality, if both of them are killed, if there was a plane crash, and God forbid that ever happened, but if that actually happened at any time, then the reality is that could wipe out the monarchy at the same time. So when they come of a certain age, then no 2 heirs are allowed to actually fly together. And then finally, Mrs. Obama. Please, I love her to bits, Mrs. Obama. I think she's the most tremendous person, but she treated the Queen like she was her personal grandmother. Touching is not allowed with the royal family. Simply do not try and touch the royal family, and certainly do not try and guide them around the room. I remember there was an Australian Prime Minister a few years ago that guided the Queen round the room, and the tuts that came from round the room afterwards because he'd broken the protocol was absolutely strange. Anyway, we're going to take a short break now, and then we're going to bring on a business etiquette expert, Michael Spooner. Stay tuned. So welcome back, and now I'm with business analyst Michael Spooner. Michael, good afternoon to you.
Okay, hi Ian. Really pleased to be here with you.
Absolutely, thank you for coming. So tell me, what is the business etiquette for Britain now? How can Britain get business moving again right across the world?
Well, see, you know, Ian, we've got a really flat economy. We've got a really, we've got a problem with growth. And so really businesses, we do have a lot of businesses that have a lot of money, a lot of potential investment that we want them to take forward. And what I really want to do, there's probably 2 or 3 things I want them to really do. Really, first is invest in technology, e-commerce and so on. So we have to continue as a country. This is a very fantastic economy in terms of e-commerce.
Right.
We have to invest in that.
Okay.
And I think most businesses listening to this show will understand and do that. That's one thing. Secondly, we want to set up trade organizations or collaborations, working relationships, business relationships in Europe, in America, in English-speaking countries, Ian, because, of course, you know, even though we can trade with other countries that like China and Middle East and so on, but actually it's easier to trade in English-speaking countries.
Okay.
And I think that's the second thing. Okay. Thirdly, is that I want us to really focus on the things that Britain does really, really well. We have got particular, we're brilliant at legal, financial education. We're brilliant at technology, second to America. We're probably the best in the world at technology. And thirdly, we want to do a lot of work around connecting and collaborating and building initiatives and institutions, international institutions around the world. That's what we want to really do.
So is there a business etiquette to it? So if you were to reach out to a company, how would you reach out to them, for example?
Reaching out, well, I would say, look, I would want them to look at what we call comparative advantages and competitive advantages. I would want them to do something that we do really, really well, really particularly well, and so for instance, let's think about our Commonwealth relationships. We have 54 Commonwealth countries, so many of them in Africa, as you know, many of them in the Middle East, and many of them all around the world. I would want our British companies to connect with our Commonwealth cousins, and so things like coffee, you got Ghana and Nigeria, who are major coffee producers. Can we do so? It's about really, Ian. How do we really connect with
precisely, and that's the point I was trying to make, Michael. In other words, what is the way to do it? So do they say, my name is Michael Spooner, I want to do business? Do they say, my name is Michael Spooner, I'd like to sort of try to create value for you? What's the etiquette of actually introducing yourselves in the first place?
Well, I think they need to really, first they need to connect values in terms of what we do as a country. We do what we call fair play. We work. We present ourselves as a country, a democratic country, and I think that we do. There's a set of principles that I think we need to do to connect with them. Secondly, I just think, Ian, it's about how do we help them, though, because of course you can't. It's got to be both.
In other words, the first part of the puzzle is create value for a company. Identify what their company is. Create value for them in the first place. So that's something. Can I just sort of just change the tack slightly as well? Because obviously, as we know, you're registered blind. How can disabled people nowadays find ways of opening up businesses as well? What do they need to do as well?
Well, I think, about 20% of the adult population's got a disability, and they're gonna want to engage with business and so on. And what I want our corporate business, because we have a very large business population here. I want them to really do a lot of reasonable adjustments, a lot of accessibility, what we call access and inclusion. So we want to really make sure that services are accessible and inclusive and can actually, go forward.
So can I, for example, you know, say someone's in a wheelchair. Do they announce they're in a wheelchair at the very start when they're applying for something, or do they not? What's the etiquette?
So the etiquette is that some at the early stages of applying for a job, you don't need to say that you've got a disability.
Okay.
There's no need for that. All right. But when you get to the second stage, the shortlisting stage, then you're going to have to say, well, look, obviously I'm in a wheelchair because I want to have an accessible interview. If I've got to go for an in-person interview, then you want to do that. Same for deaf people, same for blind people, same for people with neurodiversive, autistic disabilities. So what you got to do is at the first stage, you don't need to say anything. But the second stage, you do need to say something. And what I'm hoping is that our employers are sufficiently cognitive that they can allow our people to.
Okay. So do you think is there enough statutory legal applications already for people, or, you know, because what I hear from people who have disabilities, they want to work. And it's probably harder for them in some ways to do it. But normally they give 200%.
Yes. Well, see, what we've got, Ian, we've got 2.5 million people who are sickness and disabled that are not working. But I'm telling you, Ian, most of those people will want to work. Most of those people can work. And they, if the government would just support them in a way which to get them economically active rather than inactive, I think we would get much more people. This is a big issue for government. Richie Sunak, our present government, is obviously got an issue and a problem with this. But I just think that I would put in place lots of support, intervention, and help.
Okay.
To move the 2.5 million people from inactive to active.
Excellent.
Work.
Excellent. Okay. So finally, Michael, just give me a very brief synopsis of what you do already, and also how people can get in contact with you.
Well, what I do as a business consultant and management consultant, what I do is I help people both set up in business, overcome their challenges, and, you know, deliver the kind of things for their customers that they want to do. So I do that thing. If they want to get in touch with me, it's maspoonerlimited.co.uk. maspoonerlimited at gmail.com, admin@maspooner.co.uk. So we've got two ways of contacting us, but you could just talk to me and give me a ring on 0203 476 9605. So those are really contact numbers. But what I really want people to do is, when they do make contact with me, let's have a conversation about how we can take things.
So that's the etiquette for you. So that you want to take conversations. Michael, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Very valuable really details, I think, as well. And really, Michael, I think, is one of the most incredible business advisors around today. You know, you've gone through adversity yourself, but now you teach people how to win.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ian. I really appreciate it.
And now I have my wonderful next guest on the show today, the etiquette expert in Britain, Philip Sykes from the British School of Excellence. Welcome, Philip.
A very warm welcome to you too, Ian. It's so lovely to see you. I'm sorry we haven't got your wing person with you today.
Absolutely. Well, she's on a special mission. Sounds like something like a spy movie, but it's hopefully not. So, Philip, what we're talking about today is all about your subject, etiquette, more than anything. So I was just asking our previous speaker, what is the etiquette of actually introducing yourself to a business, for example? So what is the etiquette when you are wanting to introduce yourself from just not a business point of view, but just from a normal point of view? What are the things that you should do to actually really create traction from the very start?
Thank you, Ian. Well, firstly, the key to connecting with people is very much focusing on how do you make that other person feel. So it's very much about giving really good, genuine eye contact. We always sort of give people the guidance to have a 3-second make eye contact for 3 seconds, long enough to ascertain the color of their eyes, and then go to the human triangle, the nose, the chin, the lips, the ears. You don't want to stare someone down. If a handshake is appropriate, then a firm handshake, not the wet fish. You do not want a wet fish handshake. A handshake, believe it or not, studies have shown is the equivalent, a good handshake is the equivalent of 3 hours rapport building. And then obviously our gorgeous smile. A smile really does light up a room and lights you up and your eyes light up. In how you present yourself, remember you are seen before you even speak. So how do you present yourself for that particular occasion? So that's respect for yourself and respect for the recipient, whoever you are engaging with, or whatever event you're going to, or whatever business you may be going to. And then the actual greeting. So we want to project our name and we want to project our introduction. Now in the old formal, old school way, it would be, Philip, how do you do? It's rhetorical. And you would then reciprocate, Ian, how do you do? And then we would go into a conversation. Because nice to meet you actually doesn't really make any sense if I've never met you before. How do I know it's nice to meet you? Now, I know the world over is using that, and I'm not going to knock it because it's quite a nice, warm ring to it. But I would always encourage people to sort of, hello, my name is Philip, how are you? Rather than say, nice to meet you.
So part of the etiquette policy, presumably as well, is know who you're meeting. In other words, do some research beforehand. Make it sound like you already have listened to what they're doing just from reading their synopsis.
Very much so. I think if you know where you're going and you know who you're meeting, we have all got access to, these days, a smartphone or a computer, and LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. Don't be over familiar, though. That is something you do not want to. That would be really bad etiquette, and that would absolutely, literally put you on a very bad sort of, in a bad position on the back foot, because that person would very much jump to, are you stalking me? Are you sort of really sort of trying to find the ins and outs about me and my life? And, I think in England, a lot of us are quite private, and then when we get to know someone, we start to open up and start to share.
And, when you're talking to people as well, is it good to start off really almost on a business footing? Or should you really start off by just talking generally about things? The British are great at talking about weather, for example. What's your advice on that, etiquette-wise?
I would absolutely give people the guidance and steering to engage in small talk. At our organization, we actually call it big talk. We call it the glue, because basically it's about getting to know someone, building a little bit of trust. Because if you jump straight into business talk and that sort of thing, you're not getting to know who you're connecting with really at the end of the day. And one thing is fundamental. With small talk, there are very strong do's and don'ts. We want to avoid the don'ts like the plague. We really and truly do. We don't talk about sex. We don't talk about relationships. We don't talk about religion. We don't talk about money, and we do not talk politics. And again, weight or age. And I would avoid negativity. That's just the handful of the negatives. And then the positives are all areas that would not offend someone. But if you do ask someone, which sport do you follow, and they open up and they start sharing with you, we need to learn to listen, to understand, not to respond. So really take on board what that person's sharing with you and then reciprocate. Don't just fly off to the next question.
Absolutely. And I know you've worked with the royal family as we have. And so the reality, again, there is a certain amount of etiquette with them as well. And I think you never proffer your hand to a royal member. You have to wait till they proffer their hand to you. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. And actually, men out there listening to this, it's always ladies first. So if you were introduced to a woman, it's her prerogative if she wants to shake hands with you or not. And same with the social kiss. It's very much the woman's prerogative, and that's where Ladies First comes from. Again, nowadays with the world, as someone said, it's a small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it. With different, it's a very multicultural society. Men just pause before you sort of jump to shaking someone's hand, because nowadays people have become a lot more aware of not wanting to shake hands, or they're aware of what happened with coronavirus. So it could be a namaste, it might be the lovely sort of Arabic Muslim approach, assalamu alaikum, with the hand over the heart. So just be very conscious and know what's going on around you. Have your situational awareness intact.
Thank you, Philip. And finally today, first of all, how can people get in contact with you? And just describe basically, what the British School of Excellence is all about, please.
Thank you, Ian. Well, firstly, the British School of Excellence is very much about building confidence and changing lives. We give people skills and tools to put their best foot forward. So it's not an approach for the wealthy or anyone like that. It's an approach for anybody who wants to better their lives. And through the power of etiquette and manners, emotional intelligence, that's what we instill. We work on body language. We work on networking etiquette and skills. We work on business etiquette and skills. We work on social. We work in dining. We work in mindset and manners. And we work on your emotional intelligence. So it very much is a sort of a 360 vision and focus on how to better yourself. And not only that, you can contact us at www.thebritishschoolofexcellence.com, and we have a WhatsApp number on there. We love engaging.
Philip, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. As always, the font of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Well, that's the end of another show. First of all, apologies again from HELENA CHARD, my colleague. She's on a special mission. It does sound like a spy thriller, but I'm told that it's something very, very important for her today. So she apologizes for not being on the show. So can I thank Helena Castrati from ALB UK TV for actually really supporting this show and being able to sort of put this show on. I'd also like to thank USA Global TV in America for working with us, and Sky 585 Love World for really making a good contribution as well. So for me, Ian Pelham Turner, I hope you have a great week. I hope to get some more sleep now as this royal situation calms down, and I will see you again next week. Take care and bye for now.